Hi everyone, my name is Jill Willis, and for today's guest I have Lesley-Ann Garland, Business Development Manager at Foxway's Mobile division. I get to pick her brains on the overlap between mobile and laptop refurbishment, the convergence in user behaviours, and we lift the lid on Foxway's role in staying ahead of the trends. Enjoy! So Lesley, why don't you start us off by introducing yourself and your role at Foxway?
Yeah, my name's Lesley-Ann Garland. I've been at Foxway now for just over a year, and I'm responsible for business development within the re-commerce sector across UK and Ireland, but of course I'll support in all other territories as well. But mainly driving the development for sourcing product into Foxway across mobile and laptops and tablets, etc. So more consumer product on my side. So we can bring that in, refurbish and resell.
So we saw the laptop market really take the lead early on with regards to refurbished technology, but that's completely flipped now, hasn't it?
It has.
We're seeing mobile smartphones, refurbished smartphones outselling new.
Yeah.
Can you tell us more about that and where we're kind of currently sitting at in the market?
Yeah, and you're spot on. Laptop refurbishment was absolutely the key player because it was a business product and it was more cost effective because they're an expensive item. However, the components were costly as well, which meant that a refurbished laptop was actually more expensive than buying new. So a lot of refurbishers were struggling to try and make the secondary market work within that space. So mobile took off. And because there's been more of an uptake with younger generations having mobile devices and more consumers were buying new models as they were released and launched, it encouraged people to trade in, to pass mobiles down, to buy within secondary market, which of course then boomed both new and secondary.
And so what are you seeing currently in terms of the landscape for refurbishers, where the most opportunity is for them to grow their business?
So I think there's opportunity in majority of verticals. So smartwatches, for example, was a thing, and refurbishers have now invested in refurbishing smartwatches and fascias, etc., and then also cleaning the accessories. So that's a smaller market of growth, but it's a growth nonetheless. Mobile will continue to grow as education hits consumers. We are looking for products that are designed for us, that are more aesthetically pleasing, that do more from a technology perspective, better battery life, more affordable. So we're constantly buying a new product. So there will be a steady stream into the secondary market with education. And I think refurbishers are aware that there's a lot more education out there for consumers and we're becoming more sustainable savvy. So wanting to help the environment, there's a lot more trading programs available to consumers out there, whether they're via retail, operators or independents. So there's a lot of more of a steady stream coming through.
And what are we seeing from the OEMs in particular? Are there certain schemes that you can speak to that you see are going to really impact that education piece?
Yes, there is. And a lot of OEMs are working directly with operators and other business customers, whether it on a consumer or a B2B side, looking at incentivizing and educating their users to buy new and trade in and then buy refurbished. It's also a responsibility for an OEM, I believe, to make the components cost effective and when they're building new products with refurbishment in mind. And it was something that's only starting to happen over the last couple of years. When refurbishers are investing in resource and machinery, etc., to take these units apart, use first-party components to rebuild, to put back into the secondary market, it can only be done and the secondary market can only survive and be successful if those components are cost effective and creating those refurbished items are cost effective. If it doesn't make sense and there's losses, then the secondary market collapses. So it's everybody's interest to make sure that the secondary market is successful because it's ticking that sustainability box for all businesses.
What are you seeing in the mobile space that you can see that maybe will overlap and we'll start to see coming into laptops and PCs down the line?
Okay, so from a mobile perspective within business and laptop refurbishment within business, I think it's harder. I think it's easier to reach an individual consumer and educate consumers more than businesses. And I think That's only because businesses have leasing programs potentially that last for a certain amount of years. So you can only then influence them once those leasing programs come available to either buy refurbished or whether that's a mobile or a laptop, for example, rather than going straight into a new product. So I think from the enterprise sector, the business sector, it takes time. There are timeframes that you have to work within, and it's more costly because they're buying volume. Where a consumer, you're buying individual units, it's easier, I think, to educate our market, a consumer market. I think as a consumer or as a user of a device, not just a consumer, as a user of a device, when we're buying secondary, we have an option. We can choose pristine, nearly new, like new. We can choose different grades. What's frustrating for any end user is that there's no universal grading system. So it does depend where we're buying a product. Do we trust where we're buying it from? And ultimately, only when we get it in our hands are we happy or not happy with the quality of that refurbished product. Either way, we are wanting to see more pristine-like units like new, because we want we want a bargain. We want to buy something that's more affordable, but that still fits us as a great design, still looks fantastic. We don't want to buy a unit with digs, dents and scratches and things. Now, on the laptop side, because mainly refurbish was done for business rather than consumer, because as I mentioned earlier, the cost of refurbishing a laptop, and for business, pristine units weren't necessarily required. We didn't have them, didn't have to be polished and shiny. Keys didn't all have to be 100% visible. You could have some wear and tear. You could have a few scratches on the chassis. But now, within Foxway in particular, we've got huge incentive programs where we're creating different product where it's like new, because we realise that our business partners also want to see that quality in their product, and we want to give them value for money. So I think for any refurbisher looking at laptop now, as well as mobile, you're looking at the same quality. So you're having to really elevate your refurbishment resources. You're having to really think about your components, how you are re-keyboarding a laptop, how are you polishing that laptop, are you respraying that laptop? You know, all those things that make a laptop look like a new mobile, all those aesthetically pleasing things that we will look for as an end user.
So that's the out-of-the-box experience that we're talking about. And where do you see the software piece within all of that aesthetic that we've been talking about there?
There's definitely synergies happening now. We want, as users, we want things to be easy, quick, and we want everything to happen instantaneously. And if it doesn't, we get frustrated. So with mobile, obviously OS systems, etc., are speeding up. We're looking at increased core processors. Everything is getting faster and holding more data. Battery life is having to be longer. Batteries need to be more powerful. The same for laptops as well.
So what do you think is coming next in the mobile and laptop refurbishment marketplace?
Affordability. And there are lots of groups that are campaigning for products to become more sustainable, last longer, so we don't have to update every year. And we're already seeing that trend, actually. When there's been new launches of mobile, the uptake of new devices is not as strong as it has been in previous years. It doesn't mean that we're losing the early adopters of new tech, still very much there, but we're becoming more educated as a user group. We understand the importance of holding on to product a little bit longer, whether that's using it yourself or passing it through the family. We're certainly out of the era, I think, where we're putting a product in drawers and leaving them there. We're not contributing to landfill as much as we were. And I would love to see a product passport with every device that's refurbished. Now, that can fall down if we're using independent refurbishers that aren't part of an official list. But if we could have refurbishers agree to use a product passport, so any user that buys that in the secondary market, whether it's the second time around, third time around, fourth time around, they've got a digital passport attached that says what component's been replaced, who replaced it. So you've got complete confidence in that product. And I think that's a responsibility for OEMs and refurbishers to give confidence back to consumers.
I'm interested to understand, I suppose, both from a consumer and an enterprise buyer perspective, how important that trusted retail source is and how we're seeing that marketplace develop.
It's important for affordability and for out-the-box experience. You have to be buying from, whether it's a retailer or a refurbisher direct for business, from a trusted retailer. You've got to know that you understand where that product's come from, how it's been tested, what quality you're expecting, and that the price is correct for what you're expecting. And unfortunately, there's so many products out there that hit the market, which is what pushes those price points up or down, where the quality isn't as it's stated. And that goes back as well that there's no universal grading standard. So from a trusted retailer, making sure you've got warranty, that you can return back to source if you're not happy with that product is really key critical, because you don't want to be left with a defective product or something that doesn't meet your standards.
As we wrap up today's Refurbisher Live Lounge, we'd love to hear from you. How are the overlaps between mobile and laptop refurbishment impacting your practices? Hit subscribe and tell us in the comments. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.